You ever just stop and think about it? For most of our history, our human family tree was crowded. But now, it's just us. Why? It's one of the biggest mysteries out there. And it looks like the answer has less to do with our genes and a whole lot more to do with the wild, ever-changing climate of our planet. And that really is the big question, isn't it? We kind of take it for granted that we're the only humans on the block. But for millions of years, that just wasn't the case. Earth was home to a whole cast of our relatives, all trying to make their way in the world. So where did everybody go? Okay, so take a look at this. On the left, you've got a skull from Homo habilis, one of our really early ancestors. And on the right, that's a modern Homo sapien skull. That's us. But between these two, you had a whole bunch of other human species, Homo erectus, Neanderthals, walking the Earth, sometimes even at the same time. It was a busy planet. To figure out what happened to them and why we're still here, we've got to bring in the main character of this whole saga, the Earth's climate. And it wasn't just some passive background scenery. Oh no, it was the engine driving this entire story. We're zeroing in on a time period called the Pleistocene, and this is the stage where our whole story plays out. It's a huge stretch of time. We're talking over 2.5 million years. And it was defined by one incredible thing, the ice ages. Giant glaciers grinding forward and then pulling back, literally redrawing the map of the world again and again. Now, this timeline here, it shows something really, really important. See that temperature trend? Over the last 3 million years, the general direction was down. It got colder. But what's even crazier is that the swings from hot to cold got way bigger. Round about 1 million years ago, things got really intense. The ice ages got more severe, they lasted longer, and our ancestors had to survive in a world that was becoming more and more unstable. Right, so what's behind these huge swings? Well, it's pretty wild. It was the Earth's own cosmic dance. You know, these long, predictable changes in our planet's orbit, how it wobbles on its axis, the tilt, the shape of its path around the sun. They're called Milankovitch cycles, and they basically acted like a planetary metronome, setting the beat for the ice ages and deciding the kind of world our ancestors had to live in. Okay, so picture this. Your whole world is changing around you. The climate is going haywire. What do? Well, for any species, including our human ancestors, the options are brutally simple. You move, you adapt, or you vanish. Turns out, the options are pretty straightforward. Option 1. You can pack up and move, basically chasing your favorite environment as it shifts across the land. Scientists call it habitat tracking. Option 2. You can stay put and adapt. Either your body adapts over many, many generations, or you adapt your culture with new tools and new ideas. And option 3. If you can't move or adapt fast enough, you go extinct. Those were the rules of the game. All right, so let's dig into how this actually played out for ancient relatives. By looking at where these different human species lived and what kind of places they lived in, we can see exactly which strategies they used. It's really a tale of specialists, adapters, and one ultimate generalist. Let's start with Homo erectus. As you can see right here in this chart, they did really well for a long time, but they were specialists. They had a very clear preference for warmer, more open spots, grasslands and savannas. They knew what they liked, and for a while, that strategy worked like a charm. And I mean, these guys were the original trailblazers. Homo erectus was the very first human species to really venture out of Africa and spread across the globe. But that specialization, it ended up being a weakness. As they moved into places like Eurasia and those ice ages really started to kick in, the world they loved started to shrink, leaving them out in the cold, literally. Okay, next up, the Neanderthals. And their chart tells a totally different story. These guys were tough adapters. Look at that mix of environments. They weren't just hanging out in the warm grasslands. They pushed into temperate forests and even learned to survive on the frozen edges of the tundra. They were way more flexible than Erectus. I mean, these folks were unbelievably resourceful. To thrive in Ice Age Europe, that's something earlier humans couldn't even dream of. But the Neanderthals did it. They were a huge step up in adaptability, and they proved that humans could conquer some seriously tough, cold parts of the world. And that brings us to us, Homo sapiens. Just look at this chart. The difference is incredible. It's not about preferring one thing over another anymore, it's about total mastery. Rainforests, deserts, grasslands, deep into the frozen tundra, you name it, we lived there. We didn't just have a favorite spot. We had a balanced portfolio across pretty much every environment the Earth had to offer. We became the ultimate generalists.
This is a huge deal. It means our species did something no one else could. We didn't just stumble into new habitats or get pushed into them. We developed the ability to walk into almost any environment on this planet and say, yep, this'll do. We're going to make this home.
So that's the million-dollar question, right? How? How did we do it? If our bodies weren't just magically adapting to everything, what was our secret sauce? What gave us this insane, world-conquering flexibility? What was our superpower?
The secret, it wasn't in our bones, it was in our brains. It was our cultural toolkit. We didn't just evolve, we innovated. We figured out fire for warmth, for cooking, for safety. We made incredible, sophisticated tools. We invented tailored clothing to create our own little personal weather systems. We built shelters designed to protect us. We basically started hacking the environment to suit us.
And this map? Wow. This just shows you the incredible result of all that innovation. This massive spread of later humans across the entire planet wasn't just a story of biological evolution. It was a technological revolution. Instead of waiting for our bodies to grow thicker fur, we used our culture to basically bring a little bubble of the tropics with us wherever we went. You know, the researchers behind this study put it so well. Our ability to live in different climates just blew past anything earlier humans could manage. Technology let us break the old biological rules. It let us live in places where, honestly, we had no business surviving.
Okay, let's zoom out and tie this all together. When you look back at this huge, sprawling story of human evolution, you start to see this clear pattern, a story that was written chapter by chapter by a planet whose climate just would not sit still.
And here's a really important point. The other human species, they weren't failures. Not at all. Neanderthals, Homo erectus, these were incredibly successful species that were around for hundreds of thousands, sometimes millions of years. That's way longer than we've been around so far.
They were just players in this massive, high-stakes game, and the ultimate referee in that game was the Earth's climate. As the ice ages got worse and worse, the rules of survival kept changing. The world itself changed, and the strategies that had worked for 1,000,000 years suddenly just didn't. So when you boil it all down, the difference is crystal clear. On one side, you had species that were tied to very specific homes. When those homes disappeared, they were in deep trouble. And on the other side, you had us, the ultimate generalist, the species that used culture and technology to build our own home wherever we happened to be. And that made all the difference.
That adaptability, that's the reason we're here today, the last ones standing. It's how we made it through a world of constant natural climate change. And that leaves us with a pretty heavy question, doesn't it? In a world where we are now the ones changing the climate, what will our story be?